Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines. I'm with Living the One Light. So in this video, I am feeling called to speak about the new moon that we have coming in Sagittarius on December 12th or 13th, depending on where you are in the world, 2023. And this new moon will be at 20 degrees of Sagittarius. And there's a really beautiful and powerful theme that I'm feeling that is really a continuation, I would say, of a lot of the themes that I have been feeling in the recent full moon that we just had in Gemini. So I want to drop into all of that. And I also want to welcome those of you who are new to my channel, to me. There are a number of you who have been reaching out to me who are new to me. So I just want to say hello and welcome and thank you so much. And also those of you who are longtime friends and listeners and parts of this community, also welcome and thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who are new to me, I would just say on a very, very brief level, my approach to astrology, I feel like it's important to name that my approach to astrology is probably less and less traditional to what a lot of astrology is doing in the world, and it more and more is becoming quite important to me to be holding space for this rebirthing of astrology through not just me, but through you, through all of us. And that's something I want to speak to a little more throughout this video. And many of you are already actually signed up for the astrology course that I'm going to be holding starting in February of 2024. And that's really what that course is going to be entirely about, is about, the spirit world calls it a portal of remembering. And it's a remembering of our relationship to the cosmos, our relationship to the stars, to the planets, to ourselves, to the earth, to each other, through our bodies, through our whole being. And if you're interested in being part of a really sacred, grounded community and space where you are part of that rebirthing of astrology through all of us, then please definitely check out the link to the course. You can be in touch with me. I'm happy to talk with you. I'm happy to answer questions. For people who sign up before December 1st, which is coming up pretty soon, I have been offering one or two free sessions, personal sessions with me. So if that calls to you, definitely please sign up, and I'm happy to meet with you for free anytime you like, essentially. So yeah, and that whole approach to astrology actually is very related to what I'm feeling called to talk about in this new moon. All right, so I'm gonna first show you the chart of the new moon, and I will I'll name the components of the chart, and then I will drop into the meaning of it or the meaning that I'm feeling in it. So as I said, the new moon itself is going to be at 20 degrees, 40 minutes of Sagittarius. Here is that new moon. The new moon will be near Mars, which will be at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, and also Ceres, the dwarf planet. It will be in that little cluster of Sagittarian beings. And then, so a number of things, there's always like infinite things we could speak to in anything. But the other things I'm feeling called to name are that this new moon will be trining the North Node and squaring Neptune. And Mars will be trining Chiron. And we have Venus Venus will have moved into Scorpio by then, and will have just had an opposition with Jupiter. So again, there's, so much more here, but those are some of the basics. So the first thing I'm really feeling called to speak to is that the entire sign really of Sagittarius it's in the part of the sky that is like the spirit world is saying to me, it's a reminder of home. So if you all are familiar with Julia Balaz, some of you actually are in Julia's community, and welcome, because I am so excited to be connecting with a lot of you in Julia's community. But those of you who are not familiar with Julia, I just did a recent interview with her last week, and please watch that interview. It was truly wonderful. One of my favorite interviews I've ever done. And I've done a lot of interviews. Yeah, I absolutely love Julia's work. And so one thing that Julia talks a lot about is the parts of our cosmos that are, outside of our immediate solar system, such as the Galactic Center, the Great Attractor, the Shapely, on and on. I could go on and on. And Julia talks about them in her own work, and then also in that interview that we did. But two of these really powerful points in our cosmos are, you could say, in the vicinity of, from our perception, the Sagittarius sign. So one of them, the Great Attractor, is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, and another one is the Galactic Center, which is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. So very long story, extremely short. Basically, both of those places in their own way are energetically, to me, portals of remembering, portals of reconnecting with ourselves on a deep soul level, on a deep cosmic level. And I feel them as direct portals back to the reality that we are source. So the Galactic Center, which is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, is the point where our galaxy rotates around. So actually, this is a book by Heather Ensworth, and if you can see it, I'm going to stop sharing here. It's very convenient because here's the Galactic Center. Do you see? This is our galaxy, and that's our Galactic Center. Heather Ensworth's book, very convenient for showing that, but it's also a really great book. Okay. And yeah, so that 27 degrees of Sagittarius is, when we look up at the Milky Way, we look in the center of the Milky Way, that's where our galaxy is basically rotating around. So that's around 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And then 14 degrees of Sagittarius is where, that's much more complicated, but that's essentially where many galaxies are rotating, including our galaxy, are rotating around the Great Attractor. That's 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So again, back to the sign of Sagittarius on this more cosmic level. Sagittarius is a part of our consciousness and our sky that again, the spirit world saying to call it, a reminder of home. Okay, so what's so key about this is that when there's a really strong presence of Sagittarian energy, that can be just like with anything in life, all energy is energy, and it can have a helpful side and a not so helpful side. So on the really beautiful side of Sagittarius, it can be a reminder of home. It can be a reminder of our instinctive knowing knowing of truth, our instinctive knowing of our belief systems, what we just know. Like when somebody says, how did you know that? And it's one of those things where you say, I don't know, I just know. That's a Sagittarian way of knowing. Gemini can be more of a, like you went through the steps, like the logic of understanding the data, but so it's more of like a left brain thing. And Sagittarius energy is often more of an intuitive way of knowing things. And that can be really wonderful. If you have a really strong Sagittarian nature, I mean, I have pretty strong Sagittarius energy in me, and it can be, you can just take in lots of knowledge pretty easily and love to learn in this kind of big picture way. And things can come to you in a really intuitive way. So it's really beautiful and a gift. And it also can be an energy of being a teacher and conveying that knowledge. So on a not as helpful level, Sagittarian energy also can be very dogmatic, and it can be very, I want to say, opinionated. And so I've seen that, in my life also. I wouldn't say so much with myself, although maybe I just don't see it about myself, but I've seen it around me where people with, even much stronger Sagittarian energy than me can have sort of an arrogance, I guess you could say. And, there can be a very strong Sagittarian energy in any sort of religious, a religious group, anything where there's, there is one belief system and we need to really stick to whatever that is. That there can be a lot of Sagittarian energy involved in that. So that's not necessarily that helpful. And what the spirit world is essentially wanting me to say about the energy of this new moon on many levels, and I'll speak to a few different levels here, is that when we drop into the true nature of that Sagittarian energy that is in all of us, that's in existence, that is everything, their ultimate message is, their ultimate point is, we need to come back home. Come back to our real way of knowing, the real actual essence of the truth of our knowing. So again, I'll bring up Heather's book. Thank you, Heather. Come back home, right here. Sent to our center, to the center of who we really are, source, the light. And so then I'm going to bring back the chart. Another component of that in this new moon chart is, so Sagittarius is ruled by, or if it feels better, you could say, has an ally of, or is supported by Jupiter. So Jupiter is currently, and has been for many months, in Taurus. And Jupiter is actually moving toward going direct. It's currently going retrograde, and it's going to be going direct at 5 degrees of Taurus. So it's almost at the degree where it's going to be going direct. And to have Jupiter in Taurus, and I was praying about this, okay, what do you, the spirit world, want me to be conveying about this new moon? They showed me the energy of Jupiter in Taurus as a reminder of the sacred knowing of all beings, not just humans, not even just the beings that we in the 3 dimensions experience and see on this planet, but they were showing me, for example, the ancient sacred knowing of earth beings like gnomes and fairies and ocean beings and the spirit world in general, galactic beings, all of these spirit allies who we have maybe forgotten about, or for some of us, we know about them, but we feel like we need to stay quiet about them. That I'm speaking for myself there. And yeah, and so they're saying, come back home to yourself, but also come back home to connecting into the oneness of everything, of the all that is, of, I think it's pretty easy for us as humans to have a kind of arrogance that, not on purpose, an arrogance. I'm speaking for myself here. I'm not judging others. I'm speaking, myself included. I think it's easy to think that humans are the ones with the answers, and we certainly have a role in that. And there are these, infinite other beings who are knowledge holders and wisdom keepers of beautiful ancient knowing, teaching, medicine, wisdom, and more and more and more that's really needing to have a space to come into the world. So, and then I'm going to say a little more about that in a second, but just also to say, in addition, we have Neptune all of 2024 is going to be, I mean, it currently already is, but it's also going to be next year in a square to the Galactic Center. So again, the center of our galaxy. And with Neptune squaring the Galactic Center, and also, in the vicinity of where this new moon is, again, it's a reminder to come home. It's a reminder to find the center of our knowing, the true reality of our knowing, and to not try to do this only through our human brain, but to let source speak as us, through us, and to bring, again, come back into right relationship with the beings of existence, the beings of everything. And again, in a minute, I'm going to say a little more about that. But the last thing I want to say, looking at the chart here, is also just before this new moon, in the days before the new moon, Venus, who, is going to be in Scorpio, will be opposite Jupiter. So, so what the spirit world is wanting me to say about that is that over the time of the last several months, and especially in the eclipse season in October, there's been a really deeply powerful energy of helping us to let go. We had, these really strong energies in Scorpio that are now going to be mostly moving on. And we've had Pluto squaring the nodes of the moon, and that square is also moving on. So a lot of that energy is lightening now. I feel it lightening. But we still are, at the time of this new moon, going to have Venus in Scorpio. And it's going to be opposite Jupiter. So Jupiter expands things. So what the spirit world is wanting me to say about that is that essentially Venus is still in that energetic of Scorpio, kind of like this underworld energy, with Jupiter expanding that to continue to help us to be unearthing things that might need to be released. And because it's Venus opposite Jupiter, that opportunity for releasing absolutely might come out. I think it's highly likely it might come out for many of us in the form of relationship of some kind. So it wouldn't surprise me if many of us, especially for any of you or any of us who, you know, that degree where the Jupiter and Venus are going to be sitting, if it's particularly aspecting your chart. So this is 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8 of Taurus and Scorpio, and possibly also Aquarius and Leo. If you have major points in that area, maybe this would be especially true for you, but I think for all of us this could be true. That in this time, sometimes things that we need to be released just arise in ourselves, and you know, maybe we maybe watch a movie and it reminds us of something, and then that arises, and then we realize, oh, I need to process XYZ thing that occurred when I was 5 or last week or whatever. And as we know, sometimes things will present themselves in the form of an other. So anytime we have Venus in the picture, but especially if there's Venus in opposition to something, the opportunity for transformation, for growth, for evolution, for healing can show up in another person, or in a relating to another person. So I just say in general, you know, if you discover over the next few weeks, or any time in life actually, but especially, you know, during the time of this new moon, leading up to this new moon, if you have someone show up in your life, or something arises in your own actual, you know, partnership, or whatever it is that feels triggering, or feels like it brings up old something or other, just maybe just kind of like bookmark it. If it feels helpful, just bookmark it, that you could think of it as just, this is just an opportunity to be letting go of old stories. This is just an opportunity to be releasing you know, old karmic stuff that I'm ready to be done with. So yeah, it just feels, what the spirit world is saying is that it's just really important that we continue to be doing that in whatever ways we each need to. And as we're letting go, again, the purpose ultimately is that we're coming back into the energetic reality of oneness in ourselves, like on an energy level. And I've spoken about that in previous other videos, so definitely go back and watch those if you feel called to. And I'm going to be holding a free gathering on December Solstice, which you're all invited to. Anybody and everybody is very welcome. I would love to have you there. It's going to be recorded as well, so you can register and have the recording. But that free gathering on Solstice is going to be guided by the spirit world, and the whole purpose of it is going to be to come into the energetic reality on that pure energy level of ourselves, in the reality of non-duality, of non-separation, of oneness in ourselves. And so again, the, you know, Jupiter opposite Venus is an opportunity to be letting go of any and all illusion of separation. It's really what it comes down to. So karmic stuff. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. And then, so yeah, so then in terms of the last thing I'm feeling called to say, I'll say a little bit more about the truth of our knowing and the oneness of our knowing, and the energies involved in this new moon. So again, what the spirit world is showing me when I'm praying on this new moon is that when we come back home, it's not only about having an isolated individual sense of truth. That is extremely important. but it's also about opening ourselves to and remembering the oneness of the knowing of everything. So that can mean so many different things, but it's like when we come back home to, the center of our galaxy, the center of existence, source itself, we are one. We are the one. Literally, that's what we are. We are the light. And we are infinity. And source itself in the time-space continuum is an infinite set of beings. It's an infinite set of ways of being. And we're all of it, really, ultimately. So, I experience life that in a way that we're everything. So whenever a set of spirits is speaking through me or to me, I always have the sense that I am that. We are those beings, whatever they happen to be. If it's the Pleiades, if it's fairies, if it's ocean beings, if it's angels, I don't so much get the sense that they are something else. I get the sense that they are something else, and that also we are all of that as well. So we are human and we are infinite everything else. That's my personal feeling about it. And when we are in our human selves and our human way of interacting with life, we have a conception of what it is to know things, to remember things, to conceive of things, that's typically pretty limited to the human perception. And what I am shown and told over and over and over and over and over again, in my own praying, in the things that I've channeled, in the books that I've channeled, and in some of the recent guided meditations I've been channeling for a lot of you involved in my community, is that there are really beautiful, sacred beings throughout this planet, throughout existence, who have ways of knowing and being and whole, I want to say, encyclopedic knowledge of healing systems as well, that have been behind a veil, that have been behind an illusion of separation between us and them, but it's actually our natural way of being and a need of the world for us to come back into a dynamic relationship with these beings. And I say this, I've said this many, many times, but I say this and I feel a little bit nervous in my heart. I feel a little bit sad. I feel a little bit scared to talk about it, because for a number of reasons, but mainly because I know that these beings have been violated in a lot of ways, right? And so I say this all with really deep intention that we do this in a way that is highly honoring of all life forms, including ourselves, including everything. And yet it's needed that we do this now. So I'm speaking about it. But one thing I will mention is that I did just finish holding a 4-month series called the Spirit Allies Soul Reunion series. And it was a 4-month series. It's all now recorded and all available indefinitely if this calls to any of you, where for 4 months I spoke about and then channeled 4 different sets of types of spirit beings who I happen to have a really strong relationship with. And the 4 months were essentially, we started with light beings, angels, and unicorns, and then we were sitting with earth beings, so fairies, gnomes, that kind of being, and then we were with ocean beings, and then in this last month I was channeling and speaking about a very powerful relationship that I have with inner earth mountain beings. And that last month, I mean, I feel tender about all of them, but that last month was particularly vulnerable for me, I guess you could say. But also the most potent and alive, because these beings, all of them have their own ancient histories and traditions of healing methods and healing modalities. And they're all wanting to convey that back into the human world. They're wanting us to remember it. They're wanting us to come back into a knowing of it. The inner earth mountain beings are the most, so I would call like cutting edge, or they're really pushing me to start to channel them more and more. So if you feel like you are someone who is somehow called to be with that or hear that, that series is still available, and still you're very welcome to join in that community. But I will be speaking about it more moving forward. And in January, I will be holding a 12-month series that's going to be called the Divine Blueprint Awakening Journey. It's a 12-month journey where we're going to be held by all these spirit beings to come back into our energetic blueprint, our own energetic divine blueprint. So the energy being that is us, that is whatever we naturally come into when our energy body is able to release and let go of the illusion of separation, essentially on this energy level, to come back into the energetic structure that is natural to us when our energy is able to release a sense of separation on that pure energy level. So but that's all going to be guided by the spirit world, by divine light, and in concert with these energy beings, whichever ones happen to feel called to join us throughout that 12-month journey. So if that calls to you, I would love to have you join that. That's starting in January, and I've put all the links here with the video. Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say is I have an Astrology of 2024 workshop coming up on December 12th. Many of you already have joined. Thank you so much for joining. And for any of you who still are wanting to do a personal look ahead at your year astrologically, I am available for that. I do have some time in December, and I have some unusual times available in December because my kids are going to be out of school and I have more free time. Anyways, I have more evenings and weekends available in a certain portion of December. So if you want that, please feel free to sign up. Yeah. And then the big thing I'm just so looking forward to, so excited about, is the upcoming Infinite Soul Wisdom Astrology 101 course and sacred journey, which is starting in February of 2024. And I spoke about it at the beginning of this video. But if you are wanting to be part of this rebirthing, like a remembering of astrology through your being, through your body, through all of who you are, if you're wanting to be held in a way where that ancient wise being that is you is seen, recognized, and nurtured, that's the real point of this course. It's a course that's meant for people who are brand new to astrology or people who are practicing astrologers already. It's going to teach astrology for sure from the ground up, but it's a portal of remembering more than anything. It's a sacred journey to be, as a collective, rebirthing a new way of being back onto the planet, in terms of our relationship with the cosmos, our relationship with each other, our relationship with the earth, our relationship with the stars, the planets, the all that is, the spirit world, all as one. And to be held and respected that you are a being of this divine wisdom, that there's not one teacher or guru out there like me, who's going to have all the answers that you then need to learn and regurgitate. That is not the purpose of this course. I will impart what I know, but more than anything, I will hold the space for you to remember and feel it deeply in your own being. And then also bring forward the puzzle piece, the divine puzzle piece that is needed to come through you. So yes, if you're interested, that piques your interest, if you feel called to any of it, please reach out. And again, I'm happy to speak about it. I'm happy to have a short meeting if that is something you want or need to discuss if it's right for you. And yeah, please be in touch about any and all of the above. I would love to support you in whatever way is just right for you. Okay. I will see you soon. So much more to come. Okay.